In this video, we will take a look at two more built-in functions, and that is all and any. The all function takes an iterable and it will return true if all elements in that iterable are true. If not, it will return false. As we'll see, it will also return true if the iterable is empty. The any function also takes an iterable and it will return true if any element of an iterable is true. Otherwise, it will return false. In comparison to the all function, if it is an empty iterable, the any function will return false. Let's head over to PyScripter and check it out so we can see it in action. Let's begin with the all function. The all function returns true if all elements in an iterable are true, or if the iterable is empty. If at least one element is false, the all function returns false. Let's create a list of numbers. We'll set this just to equal 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Hit enter. All elements in our list are non-zero. We saw before that 0 equates to false. Let's just check that once more. If we call our bool function and supply in 0, we can see we get false. Any number greater than 0 is true. So all our values in our numbers list equate to true. So if we call the all function and supply in our numbers, we can see we get true. There are no 0 values in our numbers list. If we replaced one of those numbers with a 0, let's replace 2 with 0 and we'll hit enter. And now we call the all function and supply in our numbers, we can see we get false because not all our values are true. So just remember that an empty string is also false. So if we call bool on my text, we can see we get false. An empty list is also false, as is an empty tuple or an empty dictionary. Now you might have heard me mention earlier that when you call all on an empty iterable, it will return true. So if we say all and we just supply in an empty list, we get true. Now if I created a list called my list, set this to equal our square brackets, so it's an empty list, and I call all, you would expect this to return true when I supply in my list, and that's what we get. Now I'm going to put an empty list inside that list, and I'll call all again, and this time we get false because we have an empty element inside our iterable. Let's now switch to the built-in any function. Let's recreate a numbers list. I'll set this equal to our square brackets, and we'll have 0, 1, 0, 0, and 0. Hit enter. Now for any to return true, all we need is that one element is true. And we can see that we have 1 in here, which would equate to true. So when I call any, supply in numbers, and hit enter, we are returned true. This indicates that at least one of our values in our iterable is non-zero. Now if I remove that 1 and put in 0, and now we call the any, we get false. This is because there is no true element in our list. And again, I could change these to an empty string and an empty list, and our any would still return false because there's no element in our list that would return true. Now if I added in something to the string, this now is true. So when we call any, we are returned true because at least one element in our iterable is true. Adding an empty iterable as the parameter to the any function is the opposite of all. We saw for all that it returned true. For any, it returns false. And if we placed an empty list inside our list, we still get false because there is no true value inside our list. If I added something to our list, we would get true. We'll do a couple more examples where we're going to use list comprehension. Let's recreate our numbers list. Set this equal to our square brackets, and we'll put in some values 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. And we want to just check if all numbers are even. We can call our all built-in function, and we can supply in some comprehension. So say for num in our numbers. Then we go back to the beginning of our comprehension and we'll say num modulo 2 equals 0. So for each number in our numbers list, which we have 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10, we know from previous sections that comparison returns a Boolean value. So if num modulo 2 equals 0, we are returned either true or false. 2 modulo 2 is 0, 4 modulo 2 is 0, 6 modulo 2 is 0, 8 modulo 2 is 0, and 10 modulo 2 is 0. So we expect a list containing all true values to be returned with the comprehension. We're using all, so all will return true if all values are true. So what are we expecting to be returned? True. So let me just break that down a little better for you. I'm going to copy this comprehension here and we'll say is even equals list comprehension. I'll hit enter. Now I'll print is even to screen and we can see we have all true. So if we call all on our is even, we are returned true. Now if we changed our original numbers and we stuck in 11 and now we created our is even and we showed our is even to screen, we can see there is a false. So when we call all is even on our list, we are getting false because there is a non-even value in there. And we can do something similar for any. Let's create a variable less than 5 and we'll set this equal to some list comprehension. We'll say for num in numbers, and we want to use a comparison here where num is less than 5. So for each number in our numbers, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Return true or false based on whether the num is less than 5. So you can see we have 2 here at the start that are less than 5. They will return true and the rest will return false. I'll run that line of code and we'll print less than 5 to screen. And we can see we got true, true, false, false, false. And now if we call the any function and supply in our less than 5, we are getting true. And that is because there is at least one value in our list that returns true. Again, we could change our numbers. We'll get rid of the 2 and the 4 and we'll put in 12 and 14. And now when we use our comprehension and get our less than 5, they're all false. So when we call any, we are getting false because none of our values are true. In this video, we saw the use of the all and any built-in functions, and these can be great for checking your data and aiding in data cleaning. The all function returns true if all values in an iterable are true or you supplied an empty iterable, and the any function will return true if any value in your iterable is true, and it will return false if you supply in an empty iterable. It is very important that you head over to your reference workbook and you supply in your own examples for each built-in function. This will instill it in your memory that these functions are available. Now don't worry if some of the functions are a little bit over your head. Just skip them. Just know that they exist and try to get a general understanding, and you can come back to these when you actually need them in your daily tasks.